Hey there, hello and welcome. It is Madeline here on a Sunday evening or whenever you're watching this to share step number 6 for healing anxiety and depression and stress naturally, right? So there's been, hey Christine, good to see you girl, happy Sunday, right? So I've been doing this series about how to heal depression and anxiety naturally, right? All the steps that I used to heal my anxiety and that I use to help others as well heal theirs. And tonight is a really big topic is emotions, right? So I'm going to be sharing how to navigate your emotions, how to have healthy emotions, because emotions are everything, aren't they? You know, you could have everything in the world, and I actually work with people who do have everything in the world. And if you're watching, you're hanging out with me, you probably do too, right? You could have all the money in the world, have a nice living, right? Have people who love you, but if you're angry and pissed off, then your life is angry and pissed off, isn't it? If you're anxious and or depressed, then your life is anxious and depressed. Right? That's right. So it's important that we learn how to navigate our emotions, the good and the bad, so we can spend most of our time in the good emotions, right? That's right. So emotions are a gift. They really are, right? So if you're just joining, say something in the chat so I can see you. And we're talking about step 6 to healing anxiety and depression and stress, managing your stress naturally, right? And that is navigating your emotions. And emotions are a gift, right? Let me say that again. Hello, my darling cousin. Right there, the good and the bad are a gift. Emotions are how we experience life. It's how we know that we're living. They allow us to live life more fully. Our emotions allow us to connect with each other more deeply. And as I mentioned in a recent live, it's our emotions, right? It's that connection, we're creatures, we humans are creatures of connection, and that's what we want from each other. And actually sharing our emotions, the good and the bad, is one way to cultivate that connection, if that makes sense. So back to our emotions being a gift, right? So, and I'm going to share with you how to actually navigate your emotions, okay? So presumably the bad ones, right? Because we want to revel in the good ones, don't we? I know I do. That's right. So we want our emotions to be expressed freely and openly. So what I find and what I see is that we're taught in this modern Western society anyway, we are taught to hide our emotions, push down our emotions, not let people see how you really feel. And as a leader in business, right, in business and or in the corporate world, you might feel like that's a valuable skill to have, is to have a poker face, or not to let them see you sweat, not to let people know how you feel, to be able to be neutral, calm at all times. And that's true to some degree. I can see how that can be valuable in a work situation, but not in a life situation, and not as your life's operating procedure, right? So it's important that we feel our emotions, that we express our emotions. One of my teachers said recently on a podcast that I was listening to that he cries a lot, right? And I love that, right? Because I cry a lot, or maybe a lot by today's standards. And I cry both negatively, I don't want to say negatively, but also I often find myself the healthier I get, the more work I do, that I find myself having tears of being overwhelmed with joy, so much so that it comes out of my eyes, right? Overwhelmed with joy and gratitude. But I know that you're probably having tears of, I've also had tears of frustration, right? I continue everything that I share with you, that I'm teaching you to do, I live and I do myself, right? These are my practices. So I know firsthand what it's like to do this work, right? And I've been doing a lot of work in recent months because I'm always growing and stretching myself. And I've been having a lot of breakthroughs. So there's been a lot of tears. And there's been a lot of tears for me in recent months, and that's okay, right? So I celebrate when the tears come up because they are a means of release. And, so it could be tears of, well, let me back up, right? So let me back up a little bit. So tears of release, right? So that means that I'm doing work, and that, let's take that back to emotions, right? So that something is coming up for me that I'm releasing, right? So what happens is that we have these negative emotions. I'm going to use the traffic one, right? Or waiting in line, because I think most of us can relate to one or the other, right? So I think we've all been pretty angry in traffic at one point or another, or pretty angry because we're waiting in a line and we're being kept waiting, and we're feeling if things are not going the way that they want. But let's go with traffic. This used to be me, right? I used to have some serious road rage, right? So if somebody cuts you off in traffic or does something stupid on the highway or wherever you are, and you get angry, right? That's reason to be annoyed, right? Reason to be annoyed, maybe a little bit angry. It's not reason to go into a murderous rage, right? But that happens to a lot of people. Maybe it happened to you. That used to be me. Right? That murderous rage, that's not about that person cutting you off in that moment, right? That's accumulation of all the rage that you've been suppressing, not feeling, been pushing down all of your life, and it's coming out in that moment. Because that's what happens when we don't learn, when we push down our emotions, right? If something, again with the traffic, right? So if you've had anger building up all of your life and you didn't learn how to process it, that I'm going to share with you in just a moment, then it just builds, right? And it's like a snowball, right? So you have anger, you push it down and it builds, right? And then another incident happens, you have anger, you push it down, it gets bigger. It's called a gestalt. The first time is a gestalt, and then it gets bigger. And then something else happens, you get angry, right? But your anger is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and then which results in murderous rage on the highway, right? Or murderous rage when your loved one does something stupid, right? Which probably warrants a side glance, right? Or a look, or a mild comment, not a murderous rage. That used to be me as well. Before I had my breakdown, I was pretty angry, and I would fly off the handle for the least provocation, and oftentimes for none at all. So that's the case with anxiety as well, right? Anxiety is fear. You don't learn fear about something in the future, right? About a perceived threat or something happening that you don't want to happen in the future, right? You don't learn how to process that. You let your fear of that perceived incident run away with you. You have a snowball, right? You're at presentation at work tomorrow, right? And then you have a little bit of fear. But this is coming from our childhood, right? If we haven't learned how to process it, this is coming from our whole life. And now it's showing up to presentation and work, and I can't sleep the night before because I'm worried that it's going to go, whether or not it's going to go well. Or I have to have, maybe it's Sunday, right? So it's Sunday night, and how are you feeling about the week ahead? Do you have apprehension about the week ahead, or are you looking forward to it with, zest and zeal because, you're going to get your creativity and your badass on, right? I'm guessing most of you, it's the former, right? Not the latter. So that's because there are emotions. There are emotions that have built up over time that you haven't learned how to navigate. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense, right? So, maybe you have to fire somebody this week, or have to talk with somebody about their performance this week, or maybe you have to break up with somebody this week, right? A lover or a friend, or you have to have a difficult conversation this week. And if your emotions aren't in check, right? If your emotional intelligence quotient isn't where it should be, then those things are going to cause you angst, as to a little bit of discomfort, right? Because, having conversations that allow us to grow and live extraordinary lives can sometimes be uncomfortable. But that's the story for another day. So anyway, back to I digress. Back to our emotions, right? So all our lives, we've been hiding them, pushing them down, don't know what to do with them. They just suck, right? They're painful. Negative emotions, anger, sadness, fear, anxiety, sadness, depression, hurt, guilt. They suck, right? They don't feel good, so we push them down. We push them away, but they don't go away, right? The unconscious mind puts them away. I think I'm going to talk about the unconscious mind this week and how it works. So look for that, please. But the unconscious mind locks them away until later, right? And until you're ready to deal with them. But if you don't deal with them because you don't know how, or you think that you're not ready, they show up at inopportune moments, like road rage at the highway, like screaming at your loved one, or a coworker, like crying on your way to and from work. So what do you do instead, right? You learn how to navigate them, right? So first of all, you have to learn how to let go of the accumulated negative emotions that you've been carrying around with you until now, okay? And I think that's going to be the next step, how to do that. I'm going to share that with you. But you need to learn how to navigate your emotions versus medicate your emotions. So, and by medicate your emotions, I'm not just talking about a little bit of Xanax so you can get to sleep, a little bit of Xanax or whatever your drug of choice is so you can get through the meeting or the week, sleeping pills. I'm talking about the glasses of wine or your drink of choice so you can unwind and relax, get ready for the week ahead. If you're drinking every night or several nights a week, that's a problem, don't you? That's right. Food was my drug of choice, right? So I used to eat to make myself feel better. I drank too, but not so much that it was a problem. I was able to catch that. But I know what it's like to drink, to make yourself, I'd be drinking alone to make myself feel better. Not a good thing. That's a slippery slope. I would eat, right? So I would eat at night alone. I would eat at work. I would get my friends to eat with me, have the comfort food, and then I would just get bigger and bigger and bigger. And then I would feel bad about what I had just ate, perpetuating the cycle. So can you relate to any of that? I'm going to guess that yes, right? So, and it's hard to break. If you're doing that, it's not your fault, right? I'm not pointing my finger and I'm not judging you, right? I've been there. I know what it's like. Okay. I'm just saying, I now want you to know that I know what it's like. It doesn't have to be that way. And you know what to do, right? And you can't because of the emotional baggage, right? All that stuff you've been carrying around your whole life, right? Since childhood, the gestalt, the snowball that's been getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And now this is what you're doing to make yourself feel better or to get through the day, right? To get through the day, get through the week. Okay, so next video, I'm going to talk about how to let that go. But navigating your emotions in the moment. How do you do that? Okay, so something comes up. So this is not about traffic, but let's say, like a situation with a loved one or a coworker. Okay, and I understand that you don't always have the opportunity to do this in the moment, right? So in the moment, use the STOP technique, which I have talked about on more than one occasion, right? So STOP is an acronym for the process, right? So in the moment when you're having emotions come up and it's not an appropriate time to have emotions come up, you stop, the S, take a breath, take as many breaths as normal, right? So 4 counts in and out will help you calm down and return your physiology back to normal, okay? Maybe a minute or 4 or 5, so you can get your physiology back to normal, okay? And then observe what's going on. This is why we take in the observer effect. You witness what's happening, right? Kind of take that, turn your attention. I have the sound. You're listening to the sound of my voice right now, right? Thank you for that. I appreciate your attention, your time and attention. Now turn your attention to the one who's listening. That's you, right? That's what I mean by the witness, okay? So step back, witness what's going on, and then proceed from that place of calm. That's the P, okay? That's T-O-P, right? Proceed, but then we proceed from that place of calm, and now you're collected. Then, at the time where you can address what happened in the moment that caused you to have the negative emotions, right? Come back to that witness effect and consider what happened, okay? Just the facts, right? Try to remove your emotion from it. What happened? What were the emotions or the emotion that came up, okay? Identify them. Let's say it was anger, right? Person did XYZ, my partner did XYZ, or my employee did XYZ, and that really pissed me off. And it made me angry because of this, okay? Feel the emotions, right? So in that moment, right, in this time, now where you're going to carve out time to address this, right? So you can let the emotions go, okay? Feel them. I talked about in one of my meditation. If you're not in my private group, go join that, right? There's 21 days of meditation in there, right? You need to be doing that. So feel them. And there's a meditation on this specifically. So feel the emotions. We oftentimes, right, when you're healthy, right, when you have a healthy emotional home, it takes about 90 seconds to process a negative emotion, maybe a little bit longer. But we spend so much time avoiding our emotions, right? We spend a lifetime avoiding 1 to 3 minutes of emotional discomfort, okay? So just feel the emotion till you don't feel it anymore. Notice where you feel it in your body, okay? Where you feel it in your physiology. And then let it pass. Right? Eventually it'll go away. It won't be there forever, I promise. Let it pass. And then once it passes, what's the lesson from the situation? And I want the lesson to be positive and about you. Okay? So, my employee is a dumbass. I'm being facetious. But, my employee is a dumbass and shouldn't have done XYZ is not inappropriate learning. Okay, and that could be true, right? But that's not an appropriate learning to help you release the negative emotion. In order for you to be able to release the negative emotion, stop making the snowball bigger, not continuing to pile on, right? There needs to be a learning, it needs to be positive, it needs to be about you, okay? And then you'll let that go. So a positive learning about the employee situation might be, they're doing the best that they can. I didn't give them the proper training about that. I could have handled the situation differently, right? You get the idea? Okay, and then the emotion goes, all right? So, and then you can proceed accordingly. So again, if you've got a lifetime of emotional baggage, I can appreciate that you will be hard-pressed to implement this process, right? That's where my procedure comes in, my secret weapon comes in, which is a technique called mental and emotional release, where we'll let that shit go, like that, okay? So literally 8 minutes, and once you get the hang of it, really only takes, the first time might take 8 minutes, once you get the hang of it, it only takes, might only take a minute or two, and tomorrow I'm going to tell you about the breakthrough session, which is the process that we go to get rid of a lifetime of this stuff. So I hope that this makes sense. Let me know what questions you have in the comments or in a private message. If you're living in a negative emotional place, I get that. I invite you to, and you're ready to come out of that, right? You know that you want to Like, I celebrate when my emotions come up. My emotions are healthy and happy, even when they are negative. I know what to do with them. If you'd like to feel all of your emotions, want to feel good about, have a healthy emotional home, right? To include the negative and positive emotions, all of which are a gift. Again, our emotions are a gift. They allow us to experience life more richly and connect with each other more deeply, right? And if you'd like to be in a healthy emotional place and you'd like my help with how to do that, I invite you to book a breakthrough call. It's completely free, complimentary, and we'll get on the phone and talk about what's going on with you and if I can help you. And if so, we'll talk about what that could look like. And if not, that's cool too, but it'll still be very worthwhile your time and the best time that you have spent working on yourself ever, guaranteed. I have people tell me that the time they spend on the phone with me in the breakthrough session is more valuable than years of therapy. I've heard that on more than one occasion. So when you do that by going to MadelineCorrea.com/talk and grabbing your spot, right? Takes you to my calendar, and then you grab a spot that works for you, okay? So I hope this serves you. And I will look forward to seeing you in the next video. If you're not in my private Facebook group and go do that, right? You can get at it through my page, but it's called Beat Anxiety, Build Confidence, and Boost Energy Naturally. And I'm going to go live tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Time to do it's our 21st day, right? You'll still get a lot out of that meditation, even if you haven't done the whole challenge, but all 21 videos are in that group. So you can start the 21-day challenge and do it at your own pace. And I really it would bless me for you to do that. So go join that. And otherwise, I'll see you in the next video, maybe tonight at 7 p.m. in my group. And until then, I will see you in the gap. Namaste. Be blessed. Mwah.